Stillwater, Oklahoma State on defense in 2018 was aggressive and successful in attacking opposing offenses at the line of scrimmage. The Cowboys had 39 sacks and a total of 96 tackles for losses. That represented a significant increase in explosive plays from the defensive front, but while the Cowboys were winning battles in the front of the defense, opposing offenses when they were able to avoid the pressure took advantage of youth and the indecision of playing a new style of defense for 3,472 yards passing and an average of 12.4 yards per completed pass, with 27 touchdown passes allowed and only 5 interceptions going against. Redoing those numbers now is no more fun than it was watching those numbers play out last season. However, as Oklahoma State started spring practice last week and now takes a breather for spring break on the OSU campus, it does make sense to make sense of how this next season's version of Jim Knowles' defense will be different. Knowles learned things as he went through the Big 12 season with some victories and some defeats, more defeats in the Big 12 than any season since Mike Gundy's first as head coach in 2005. Knowles knows this defense for 2019 will have to be different. In some ways he wants it to be different, certainly the overall results. The first impression on the surface is there are so many veteran players missing from the defensive line. Can this defense have the results in pass rush pressure, and can they protect the line of scrimmage in the run game? I think that we've got to wait and see on that, Knowles said very honestly. Those guys have got to prove themselves. I think we can be dynamic with Brock Martin and Mike Scott kind of taking over for Jordan Brailford. I think those guys can be dynamic and a lot of good young players coming up inside, but they are going to have to prove themselves. I'm most excited about our secondary because we played a lot of young guys last season, and School of Hard Knocks. They had a lot of tough experiences last year, but they are going to be light years better, okay, and we've pointed that out. While the defensive line has really changed and there is not near the experience and at defensive end, the depth, at least in the spring, appears razor thin. Like Knowles said, there is power in experience with 4 returning starters and 4 other players that played returning in the 5-man secondary, 2 corners and 3 safeties. Overall, there are 11 cornerbacks and 11 safeties in spring practice, and some are eager young players with talent like corners Javion Cardwell and Gabe Lemons. Young safeties determined to get in the mix include Kenyon Williams and Jason Taylor too. It starts on the back end of the defense like it does with any secondary, and that is how well can you hold up at corner. Knowles has lots of faith. I mean a lot of faith. We have 2 great corners, in my opinion, and when you have 2 great corners then you've got a shot. And Lele, Rydarius Williams, and A.J. Green are going to be 2 of the best in the league and in the country, Knowles said to me on the first day of spring practice. When you have 2 guys like that, then you have a chance to be the best in the secondary. Now, one of the aspects that Knowles and his staff on defense that I'll return with Joe Bob Clements and Greg Richmond coaching the defensive line, Knowles and his chief aide and graduate assistant and linebackers coach Shane Just, then Dan Hammerschmidt and Tim Duffy coaching the secondary, will have to determine is how strong can the Cowboys defend up front and how stout they will be in the secondary. Sometimes, you have to have one complement and assist the other. Absolutely. We did a lot of things up front in trying to utilize our strengths, and I think you saw that in that. We were like 5th in the country in sacks, Knowles explained. You know, we also gave up a lot of explosive plays, too many explosive plays. You know, I expect that to be turned around this year. We'll see where we get with the sack production, but I know we're going to be better in the back end and the emphasis is going to be put there a lot more. There is no doubt that Oklahoma State and the Cowboys fans will accept a few less sacks for a few less touchdowns against and a few more interceptions. Those numbers would be welcomed in year 2 of the 4-2-5 defense, which, keep your eyes peeled, could also look like a 3-3-5.